The sweet scent of the demoralization of my enemy. If only I could find a way to bottle this perfume, I would make billions faster than the guy betting against Kamala Harris's stock market. As here we are, with an article, Why Even Make Video Games Anymore? From The Gamer. And that is a wonderful question. Why even make video games anymore? Why are you still trying? Why can't you just stop, cease, and leave us be? That way, perhaps we could return to an era where video gaming was created by genuinely passionate and interested people creating video games for gamers, rather than propaganda projects for the more mentally malformed amongst us. Especially considering the rapid economic downturn, as there are far too many people who latched onto video gaming because it seemed like a quick and easy economic prospect. Which is why our Mike Drucker here opens up with, why even make video games anymore? No, really, why? We've hit another week and another massive layoff, this time from a company that makes some of the biggest games on Earth, Destiny 2. Correct. And that is still not enough to pay for your bloated wages, as, oh god, this is basically my new variant of EX hentai at this point. 10,000 jobs in 2023, and 11,200 just up until now this year. Oh. Nature is indeed healing, as, here's the thing. Normally, I would lament the fact that people are losing their jobs, because it's never a fun thing, obviously. And a great number of these people have no blame that the industry is the way it is. A lot of them were brought on board during the enormous entertainment boom during COVID, for example, and have no real blame in this. But the industry at large has grown so thoroughly bloated and so repugnantly distasteful of success and actually giving the players what they would like to play that the industry deserves to die. It is like a dying man, a drowning man more correctly, who, he's starting to look up and is like, wow, there's a light up there. I could head towards the light, towards making the products that people wish to purchase, but they are so utterly disgusted by the idea of actually serving an audience that instead they turn around and swim back down again, as games that look like this are not having a hard time selling. If anything, they've got a problem with what to spend all of their mountains of cash on. Like, literally, Zenless Zone Zero is a game so unfathomably lavishly animated that you know for absolute certain that they have probably burnt more money than even they can earn in the short term, and yet, again, no problems with the income there, yet everything in the West is struggling. Oh boy, I wonder why. Perhaps if there was some sort of clue somewhere, some sort of ephemeral hint. Oh, I don't know, like a recent DLC for the Suicide Squad or something? No? Yeah, no, I have no idea why the gaming industry is failing so badly. Let's see if Mike Drucker here has any insight. Incidentally, this is him. A perfect exemplar of exactly what I'm talking about, with an industry absolutely disgusted with the idea of actually serving its audience. He's made articles like this one, for example, complaining about people going, hold on, this is blatant race baiting and simple current year drama mongering rather than an actual effort to make a good Assassin's Creed, or championing the idea that we are supposed to watch things that are, well, bad and or undeserving of us. Like, Fury Road, for example. I watched it once it was available on alternative websites, and you know what? It's not actually a bad movie, but in the current year, after so many girl boss movies, we are not going to go to see a movie that says boldly on the title, a Mad Max saga, without any Mad Max. We replaced him with a woman. It just isn't going to happen. It doesn't even matter if the product is quality at that point, because we are practically trained to recognize that as a lack of quality. And 9 times out of 10, that is exactly what it is. As even Furiosa is, at best, an alright movie, not as good, quote unquote, as Fury Road, and the main character does not do anywhere near enough to sell it. Especially considering this is supposed to be a Mad Max movie, but hey, details. Let's get back to it. Oh, I know, people make games because they love them, not because there's money in it. Well, back in the day that was true. First of all, you should tell that to the corporate executives who make these decisions, because Buster, they are not on board with your theory. You know what? I'm actually a little bit sick of this idea of blaming the corporate suits, these ephemeral money men out there who are totally crushing down on the creative juices of the people at work. I don't believe that the money man is going, I really need this woman to look like a man. I don't think so. Unless you're meaning the investors, in which case, yes, forces like BlackRock, for example, external entities who make their money based on political agendas like DEI, absolutely. But there isn't an executive at, say, Sega, for example, as we saw recently with Creative Assembly, when CA decided to blow, as some reports claim, £100 million on Hyenas, a very progressive-looking video game, that died in its early beta stage because literally no one was willing to play it. What did Sega do? Well, they sent a boardroom full of angry Japanese executives, the money men over there, to step on that project's neck because they had allowed Creative Assembly all of the creative liberty they wanted. And what did they make out of it? A tranny extraction shooter. You know, the money men want to make money. The money men would prefer big anime titties to what you're actually producing, so I do not buy this excuse at all. Perhaps you believe that these unending layoffs are an economic necessity. Absolutely, because the industry grew bloated after COVID, not to mention interest rates. Don't you mean inflation, perhaps? Companies overspent during the pandemic. Sure, fine, let's roll with that excuse. Follow-up question, who made those financial decisions during the pandemic? Well, to be fair, that is absolutely a decent enough point. Yes, a lot of these companies grew too large, and the people whose jobs were never worth hiring in the first place are now being cut. But this is, of course, also a self-defeating point, isn't it? So you're going, you shouldn't fire these people, whilst your point is they should never have been hired in the first place. Are you retarded? If the company cannot support them, then laying them off is the only correct action. You can certainly argue that they, again, should not have been hired in the first place, but that doesn't mean the layoffs are bad. It means that the layoffs are good by your own logic. Now, I'm not saying nobody should make games. I love games. A lot of my friends are in the industry. A lot of my friends have also lost jobs while creating financially successful products. Not just games that underperformed, games that hit their milestones, but folks still ended up losing their jobs because they had little to no labor protections. And this too. Labor protection. So this is a little bit of a wider topic which he immediately gets into. Side note, that's one of the nice things about unions. Whilst unions don't make it impossible to fire people, at the very least they can make it a lot more difficult and expensive for companies to just dump staff to look good on a quarterly report, because let's be honest, these corporate executives love firing people as much as their social media managers hate having to deal with all the ratioing online. See, here's the thing. Unions are not going to help the games industry in the same way that they haven't really helped the vast majority of industries. A union is created for a specific problem that never disbands once the problem is solved. It is, in essence, another tax on the worker via union dues. The best way to protect the worker is via actual legal regulations, as we have seen in virtually every other civilized goddamn country. Unions are first and foremost political organizations, hence their very origins. And in an industry as relatively volatile as gaming, where if you cannot continue to produce hits, you might very well go under, they can be the final anchor around a studio's ankle that drags them down to unavoidable depths and death. Now, it can also be abused, of course. There may indeed be companies out there that simply fire people based upon, the next earnings report, potentially. But if you have got people with actual genuine skills, firing them is a loss to the company. You are losing expertise, something that Relic has demonstrated very, very well over the last few years as they've struggled to actually recreate their own glories, even when they're trying to make what is in essence a carbon copy of previous titles. It isn't that these executives simply want to hurt you, it is that they are faced with the difficult necessities of the modern day's economy, particularly again while surrounded by employees who want to make things that don't make money. Even as, again, a product doesn't need to just make cash, it needs to make enough to finance the next product again, otherwise you are in a constant losing spiral. And with the ever-increasing costs of games, that is getting harder and harder. You might say the solution is just to go indie. Sure, that's worked great for a lot of people. It's also worked terribly for a lot of people. And on this, he is actually entirely correct. The vast majority of indies are miserable failures. The 1% that actually makes it through the needle's eye towards success are a vanishingly tiny minority. Hell, even the ones that simply manage to reach a level of financial equilibrium are rare. And that is in large part because making games is actually rather hard, even with all the modern day tools, although it is still far more accessible than ever before. Why should people want to make games? What reason do talented people have to spend their lives perfecting the craft if they're going to get kicked out the door anyway? Software engineers could probably make more money programming bank equipment. Artists could probably make more money doing design work for pharmaceutical ads. Probably, yes, but, well, the point here is, would you rather be bored and paid well and appreciated, or excited and constantly terrified you'll never work again? Again, you don't seem to actually connect with reality here. Why? So the money men are the problem, right? The big executives, the corporate capitalists that just love firing people and hurting them for no reason. Why are the pharmaceutical executives better? Excuse me? Why would Pfizer treat you any better? Of course not, because the blame isn't on the money men, the blame is on the industry and its stability. In the case of the Western gaming industry, you have doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on practices that do not earn money, which is, again, another current example. Ubisoft, for example, have their Star Wars Outlaws game coming out, and it looks like an absolute disaster. From awful AI to terrible animations to yet another butchered female character, I mean heavens. And they are now trying everything they can to basically bribe people to give good coverage, flying them out to Disneyland, sitting them down with a carefully curated 4-hour vertical slice of gameplay, if you will, of the game, and giving them all the fancy little toys like, hey, we're treating you so well. Don't you want to give us a little bit of, consideration when you're making your video on all of this? Just a little bit. This is a mark of desperation. And to a degree, this is inherent in most industries, right? You want the influencers, you fly them out, you treat them nicely, you pet their little heads and hope that they'll be nice to you. This is hardly an uncommon occurrence within most industries, frankly. But within gaming, it is extra egregious because these people aren't journalists. That's the thing. We expect journalists like Mr. Drucker here, for example, to have highly flexible morals. However, us as YouTubers, what we really sell is ourselves as people. It is selling our moral compass, our ability to be honest with you, to be personal. See, the interpersonal relationship, the bane of many a YouTuber's existence, can also be a good thing, as if we are just people, we are going to give you the perspective of just a person picking something up, rather than that of a corporate stooge with the entire PR budget of the company shoved off their anuses, currently gently tickling against their prostates. So I do not think that you'll be any safer in these other industries unless they are somehow miraculously spared from the capitalism you seem to despise in the gaming industry. To be fair, I'm painting with a pretty broad brush here, and there are people who will stick around in terrible conditions because they love video games that much. And yes, there are also companies that reward loyalty while rarely laying off employees. Yeah, Creative Assembly, in fact, indeed, was one of these. It ballooned to the absolutely egregious size of 800 employees whilst producing a steadily inferior product. Because more people doesn't necessarily mean a better product. See, there is this idea amongst very many people on the left these days that employment is somehow a right. Unions are another outgrowth of this in essence, where they think to themselves, okay, but I want to keep my job though, regardless of how poorly the company's faring, not understanding that if the company goes under, there's not going to be any jobs. If you actually wanted to, and things have, what was the saying? Like, things kept in common is kept in disdain or something like that? That's the thing. Most people who go to a company and simply collect a salary don't give a shit about the company. They view it as a paycheck. That is where the passion comes in. If you do actually have employees making something out of genuine interest, odds are they will create a better product, which more than likely will sell better, which again, more than likely, will secure jobs. Not guaranteeably, you do not have a right to be employed unless you literally create your own employment, a la me, for example. But other than that, no, your employment is at the pleasure and the need of the person employing you, the person who is paying your wages. That might sound harsh, but it is the simple reality of the situation. And, well, someone else waiting in line behind you, what was it? Oh, yeah. But I've worked in television most of my adult life, and the vibe can often be the same as many game companies. You don't like this bad thing happening? Well, someone else waiting in line behind you will be fine with the bad thing happening. Absolutely. It creates a revolving door of talent where the inexperienced people either get no support to do their job, or they get fired, or their contributions to the company raise the employee's value, and so they get fired. What? See, again, it's this myth that all of these talented people are just being let go left and center. If you're actually doing a good enough job to come to stay at the company, you're probably not going to get fired. However, and we're touching on this now, on the fun times that video games workers have when weirdos online get mad about some fictional characters with chin or a robot's ass. Again, we return to Miss Freeze, don't we? This is the primary melee here. Because video games workers are far closer to the ground than business executives, they're the ones who get the most harassment for whatever grift takes center stage that week. I'm sure being a character designer is a blast every time some podcaster in his 50s sent people to attack them for not giving some digital broad perfect gazongas. That's the thing. It's not that you're not giving them perfect bazongas, it's that you're giving them none whatsoever. It's that you're making men in your video games. And this is a self-evident trend. Again, this is what I started the video talking about. These people do not have problems making money. They are swimming in it. Whereas Ubisoft, they are struggling. It's not difficult to understand why. One is producing a product that somebody wishes to purchase, the other is producing a product that no one wishes to purchase. This is not a product that appeals to the average gamer. A race-fixated Ubisoft game set in Japan to rap music is not particularly appealing, or at the very least, nowhere near as appealing, again, as this. And see, this harkens back to the Warner Bros. Executive, who, after the failure of the Suicide Squad, said that they would double down on free-to-play games, because, you know, I'm sure the Western games designer market will do far better in that arena. Again, it's way less competition over there, right? Hi. And that they were going to do so because the mainstream gaming market, the AAA gaming market, was too volatile. In a game where you kill Kevin Conroy's Batman as Manified Harley Quinn. It isn't that the market is inherently volatile, it is that you are making a product nobody wishes to goddamn purchase. And, here's the thing. These podcasters you are so disagreeable towards, or hate so much, I had another word which I forgot the English word for a moment there, they are actually sort of trying to help you. They are trying to be like, this doesn't work. This doesn't help. Nobody wants to buy this. And you should have realized that after the last 20-odd years. Seriously, why should talented people want to make video games if this is how they're going to be treated? Why should workers spend their lives learning a trade if half the job involves having a panic attack when there's an all-hands meeting? Lots of people want to become doctors, but most don't want to work at a hospital that's somehow in a perpetual state of burning down. See, I like that allegory, because, you've got a point there. A lot of people want to be doctors because it pays well. But nobody wants to be a doctor when there is actually a disaster afoot, when you're actually going to have to ply your trade under trying circumstances. Hell, I'll go so far as to say that most people don't want to be pushed to their limits in the form of their employment. Your average carpenter probably doesn't want to build Noah's Ark just for shits and giggles, etc. But the gaming industry has deliberately created its own crises, and now it is looking around at the house it has set on fire and thinking to itself, I deserve to collect a paycheck for this. I have spent my life learning how to make the flattest, man-joyest female character I can. Pay me. And a near unified audience appears to be turning back towards you and saying simply, no. That's the problem with a market that is entirely dependent upon actually selling something. Your consumers actually have a say in your employment. You do not have a right to continue to make your ugly-ass characters. You do not have a right to continue to insert your politics into video games. It is, at the very best, a privilege, and it is a privilege only at the suffrage of your audience. And time and time again, the market has demonstrated that there's 0-point-something percentage of gamers out there who cares for socialist politics in their hobbies, who like man-jawed women, just simply do not have the financial muscles to support your games industry. Either you're gonna have to start doing like Asia, or you're gonna have to start working for that pharmaceutical company, whose executives, I am sure, will treat you with the love and respect you deserve. Good luck with designing that new Pfizer logo. I'm sure it will be a far safer work area than the gamer has ever had any opportunity or prospect of being. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and remember, gatekeep. Gatekeep always. It might not seem like you're getting anywhere to begin with, but sooner or later, if you keep at it, you too will smell the sweet, sweet scent of victory. Have a good day.